Yo, what's good, guys? Austin here, or Luna. Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. I just woke up. It is 8:30 p.m. Actually, I didn't just wake up. I woke up at like 7:30. But yeah, if you can tell, my sleep schedule is just getting better and better. It's amazing, man. But I have a really good story time for you guys today. One that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. Definitely brings back some of those old Luna vibes, in my opinion. And I hope you guys enjoy this. Leave a like on the video if you do, and let's jump into it. So today's story time all takes place back in freshman year of high school. Yeah, young Luna, man. Obviously, before I jump into it, I just want to say, don't be like me in freshman year, okay? I have to say this at the beginning of every video now, because if I don't, I'll just feel like guilty about it. I feel like I don't want to accidentally inspire somebody to go out and try and like repeat my mistakes in these stories. But yeah, freshman year Luna wasn't the smartest cookie, to say the least, okay? I definitely wasn't the smartest boy, all right? And I'm not just talking about high school, like book smarts. I'm talking like I was just an idiot. I would like get up and just make the worst decisions ever every day and get myself into a ton of trouble. So yeah, don't be like freshman Luna. Do not smoke weed during a high school field trip. Do not smoke weed, period, because you watched one of my videos. That is something you should make the decision to do as a consenting adult, not as a freshman. So this all starts off as a normal day back in freshman year. I woke up pretty early on. I actually woke up kind of excited on this day for a couple reasons. One, it was Friday, so that was nice. It was the weekend almost, it was almost time to not have to worry about school for a couple days. And two, I had a field trip on this day. And I don't care what anybody says, a field trip is always fun, man. Even if it's just some boring shit, it's better to get out of school and go do something that isn't, in school than to sit there all day. So yeah, I had a field trip on this day, and you're probably wondering, Austin, what were you going to be doing? So the field trip was for my science class, and we were going to be going to a science museum. And honestly, it sounded kind of fun to me. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't the biggest, science head in school. I wasn't like super good at science or anything, but a science museum sounded kind of fun. I don't know. Thought I might see some cool stuff there. So yeah, on this day, I was very excited for this field trip, very excited to get out of my school for the day, just very excited to not have to be in school for science, right? So I get up, I get out of bed, I take a shower, I get ready for my day, I get on the school bus, I go to school, and my second period of the day was science. So when I get to science, it was time to get ready for this field trip. We all had to line up outside, get on this bus, and start our journey to the science museum. Now, this science field trip was going to be like 2 hours long, so I was missing a good chunk of my day at school, which was nice. Not as big of a chunk as I would have liked to miss. It would have been nicer to be out of school the whole day at the science museum, but 2 hours was still 2 hours. So, I was thankful to be out of the school building and doing something fun, right? So we get to the science museum and we walk in. And I was with one of my friends. We'll just call his friend Ethan, okay? So me and Ethan, we're just walking around the science museum with our class, hanging out, just kind of chilling in the back of the group. We're not making too much noise. We're not talking too loud because we didn't want to get in trouble. But we were like, we were whispering to each other and like having conversations and stuff. And, it's fine, right? It's going fine. Good start to the field trip, right? Now about 20 minutes into being at this museum, Ethan looks over at me and he's like, yo, you want to smoke? And I was like, what? Smoke? Now, I knew he was talking about weed because Ethan was a big stoner. So I asked him, I'm like, do you have weed on you or something? He's like, yeah, I always got weed on me. I was like, bro, during a school field trip? He's like, yeah. And he like quickly flashes out of his pocket. Like he like shows me his little vape. He had one of those little like Pax vaporizer things where you could put bud in it and just vape the weed like immediately. And I'd actually never seen one of those before. I knew he had one, but I'd never seen it. So it was actually kind of cool to see it. And I'm not going to lie here, okay? Curiosity definitely got the best of me. I saw that and I was like, yo, I want to try that thing. And yeah, the part of my brain that doesn't really think very well was like, you know what? I'm sure we could sneak away for a few minutes, take a couple hits and not get caught. It'll be no big deal, right? So I said, sure. I was like, yo, let's do it. And he goes, okay, bet. Let's just like sneak away from the group. Let's like go in the bathroom really quick. Let's take a few hits and we'll be good. So that was the plan. We were going to sneak away from the group, from the class, say we were using the bathroom, go into the bathroom, get in there, take a couple hits of this vaporizer, and then get the hell out of there as fast as we could before anybody caught us. So I walked up to the teacher first, and I was like, hey, can I use the bathroom? She's like, sure. And then one of like the museum employees that was giving us the tour was like, yeah, I'll show you. Follow me. And then Ethan was like, hey, can I use it too? And the teacher kind of looked a little sketched out when he said that because she knew that we were both friends and we're kind of like hanging out together. So, she kind of like gave him a look at first, and then she looked at me. And then she was like, yeah, sure, just hurry back. Don't talk too much while you're in there. He's like, don't worry, I won't. And yeah, the museum employee proceeded to guide me and Ethan to the nearest bathroom. We went in there, did a quick check of all the stalls and stuff, made sure nobody else was in there. And once we realized we were alone, he took out the vape and he started hitting it. He took a quick rip of it. It was already packed and ready to go. After he hit it, he passed it to me. He's like, yeah, man, you just drag it. Like, you don't have to do anything. Just take a hit. And I did. And that shit kind of blew my mind. I can't lie. Like, that was one of the first times I ever got to vape weed. At least I think it was technically vaping it because it was an earlier PAX vaporizer. I'm not sure how they used to work, but it still felt like smoking. I'm not going to lie. Like, you still like heard the noise of it like crackling and stuff, and it kind of tasted the same to me. I didn't see a huge difference. I'll probably still call this video smoking weed just because, I don't know, it still felt like it was smoking. I don't know, I guess that doesn't matter. The title does not matter at this point. Anyway, yeah, we're in there. We're taking hits off this PAX vaporizer thing, whatever, right? And we took about 4 hits each. And at that point, I was like, yo, we should stop because I was already feeling it a little too much. I didn't have a huge tolerance back then. I was not that big of a stoner like he was. And on top of that, the bathroom was starting to reek like weed, bro, like straight skunk. Because like even though this PAX vaporizer thing, it produced like way less smoke or whatever and like didn't really have a ton of smoke coming off it, it still made the room smell like weed. So I was like, I don't want to keep hitting this thing. The more and more we hit it, the more and more it's going to reek. So after that, he put the vape away. And we proceeded to go back to the class and go to the back of the line and just kind of like, stay in the back, right? Now, at first, we got back there and there was no problems, right? We were both kind of, a little high, a little buzzed. We were hanging out and, we were feeling it, but we weren't like too high or anything. And we were in the back, so no one really noticed us. And I thought, yeah, like, it's fine. Everything's going to be fine, right? Well, then this girl that was in our class, we'll just call her like Miranda, okay? Miranda, she comes to the back of the line. She was up in the front originally, but I don't know if she was getting like too anxious up there or like she just wanted to be in the back, but she decides to come to the back with us. Now, Miranda was what people would call a teacher's pet, okay? I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be buddy-buddy with the teacher and be a good student, okay? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not calling her like a nerd or something. I don't think there's anything wrong with having like, a professional friendship with your teacher, right? Like I had teachers in my school that I was really cool with too, and that were like really nice. But she would always sit near the teacher, even though we didn't have assigned seats. She would always tell on people that were misbehaving. Like any chance she would get, she would snitch on somebody, even if it was for something that wasn't that serious. Like I understand if something serious is happening and you have to tell the teacher, go for it. That's obviously the right thing to do, and that's fine. But there's times where like we would be doing stuff that was not that serious. Like there was one time where I was just like doodling on a piece of paper because I'd finished my schoolwork early, and Miranda told on me. She was like, hey, Austin's like doodling and like not even doing his work. And I was like, yo, I finished early. And she was like, oh, sorry. And it's like, why the fuck are you telling her that? Like, why are you snitching on me right now, Miranda? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just drawing because I was done with my work. Anyway. So when Miranda came to the back of the line, I got very paranoid. I don't know if it was the weed talking. I don't know if it was just my brain talking. It was probably both, to be honest. I got very paranoid because I knew that if Miranda smelled any weed on us, she'd probably go and tell the teacher. And sure enough, not even 15 seconds after Miranda came to the back of the line, the back of the tour group, and was with me and Ethan, she goes, you guys smell that? And I was like, what? No. And she was like, it smells like weed. And I was like, that's weird. And she like looks at me and she looks real close to my eyes and she goes, are you high right now? And then Ethan chimes in. Ethan's like, no, he's not high. Like, come on, Miranda. And Miranda turns around and looks at Ethan and she goes, oh my God, you smell like it too. It's both of you. You both smoked or something, didn't you? And I was like, oh, fucking no, man. No, dude, like this is bad. This is so bad. And I was like, Miranda, please, I'm begging you as a friend, do not tell anybody, please. And she goes, I can't believe you guys, like on a school field trip, like you couldn't just wait to get home. And I was like, Miranda, please do not say anything. Like, I'm just asking you, just do me this one favor. Please don't say anything to the teacher. And she goes, I can't believe you guys. What the fuck? And she turns around and she walks back to the front of the line. And now me and Ethan start having a full-blown panic attack. Like we're freaking out because we know that she's probably going up there to tell the teacher. Now, at this point, the rest of the tour goes on. We're touring the museum, we're hanging out, and nothing actually happens during the tour. We end up going through the whole museum tour. We do the whole like science field trip thing for a couple hours, and everything goes normal, right? And at this point, I'm coming down from being high, and I'm feeling fine, and so is Ethan. We're actually feeling a lot better because Believe it or not, being high in a giant science museum on a school field trip is the perfect recipe for a bad time. I was paranoid that fucking whole time, especially with the Miranda thing. Like, it just wasn't that good of a high. I'm not gonna lie. So, yeah, when I came down from it with Ethan, we were just way less paranoid. It felt great. We were a lot less paranoid. We also weren't in trouble yet. The teacher didn't pull us aside to talk to us or anything. So we assumed at this point that Miranda didn't tell the teacher and that we were able to get away with it, right? So after the field trip was over, we got on the bus. We started going towards school. And while we're on the bus, I see my science teacher get up from her front seat and she starts coming back to the back with me and Ethan. And she sits down in the seat right across from us. And she goes, "Did you guys have a good field trip?" And I was like, "Yeah." "Did you?" She goes, "Yeah, it was great. Do you guys learn some stuff today?" I was like, "Plenty of stuff. Lots of sciencey stuff." And she goes, "You probably didn't pay attention the whole time, didn't you?" And I was like, "That's not true. I paid attention. I saw that one part with the solar system and stuff. That was really cool. The planetarium." And she goes, "Yeah? What else did we learn about?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she just kind of shakes her head and laughs. And she goes, "Okay, well, have fun on the bus ride, guys." And she gets up and she walks away. So now I'm really relieved, right? I'm like, okay, she doesn't know that we got high during the school field trip. She has no idea. Miranda must have not told her. Shut up, Miranda, right? Well, we get to school. We get back to our classroom and we're gathering our things, getting ready to leave to go to our next period class, when all of a sudden, while me and Ethan are walking out the door, laughing, having a grand old time, relieved that we didn't get caught, we hear our science teacher go, "Hey, Ethan, Austin, can you guys stay after? Just real quick, gotta talk to you for a few minutes." And we turn around and we see the teacher sitting there at her desk, and she looks kind of disappointed in us, I'm not gonna lie. And then I look to my left and I see Miranda walking out, smiling at us. And I was like, motherfucker, she told her. And we go over to the desk, me and Ethan sit down, and my science teacher goes, "So, do you guys know why I'm talking to you?" And we both just nod our heads no, but that was not the truth. We knew why. And she goes, "So, someone just told me that you smoked during our school field trip? Smoked pot? Any clarification on this? Is this true?" And me and Ethan start lying our asses off, which obviously we shouldn't have done. Obviously not. We start lying, but it was the worst lying on earth. We were so bad at lying. We're both like, "What? No, who would say such a thing? We didn't do that. We've never smoked before. What?" And we're trying to play stupid, right? And you could see it on our face. We were obviously the shittiest liars on earth. And my science teacher goes, "Look, Ethan, Austin, honesty goes a long way with me. So if you just be honest right here, right now, I'll consider going easy when it comes to punishing you guys. So be honest." Now, we still just kind of doubled down on lying, and we were like, "No, we didn't smoke." And the science teacher goes, "Okay, well then you won't mind if I send you up to the principal's then, and the school cop can search you, search your lockers, make sure there's no weed on either of you, and then you'll be proven innocent, right?" Now, Ethan looks like he's shitting himself now, because Ethan had that little vaporizer in his pocket with the weed in it. And if I had to guess, he probably had even more stuff in his locker. Based on the look on his face, he looked like he was really, really guilty. And even the teacher noticed that. She was like, "Ethan, are you okay? You look a little pale." And he's like, "No, I'm fine." And she goes, "So you're okay if I send you both to the office to get searched?" Now, me personally, I had nothing to worry about. So I nodded my head yes, because I literally had nothing on me. Ethan, on the other hand, well, yeah, he had some stuff to worry about. But he was like, "No, I'm fine with that. We can go up there." So before I knew it, the science teacher grabs her phone. She calls security to come down to the science room and escort me and Ethan up to the principal's office, where we can be searched and speak to the principal and the cop or whatever, and essentially just prove that we're not, up to no good. So a couple minutes later, one of the security guards comes down, starts escorting us up to the main office. And when we got to the stairs to go upstairs to the second level of the school where the main office was, where the stairs were, to the right, there was an exit. One of the school exits/entrances was right there. And I see Ethan look at it, and I could tell exactly what he was thinking. He was going to run for it, because he knew if he got searched in that office, they'd find his little vaporizer thingy with the weed in it. So a second later, right after I see him make that face, he just runs towards the door. And the school security guard turns around, he's like, "Hey, stop it!" And he starts chasing him, but it was too late. Ethan was too fast, he was too quick. He ran out that door, fast as fuck, boy. He was out of there. He ran. And it was just me and the security guard now. Yeah, the security guard gave up chasing him after like literally a second. And he came back over to me. And he goes, "Why'd he run?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm not in his head. I don't know what he's thinking about," which was the truth. I don't know why he decided to run. I feel like there was probably a lot of other things he could have done. I feel like even just getting searched and getting caught would have been better than just running out the door and skipping the rest of the day, because now he's not only looking guilty as fuck, but also he's truant. He ran out for the day. He left. And the cops are going to be after him, which is a whole big mess and a whole just much bigger situation than it probably needed to be. So yeah, he probably was now not only looking super guilty of having weed on him, but now he skipped the rest of the day of school, skipped all of his classes, and was on the run. So yeah, he was probably going to get in a lot more trouble now than he was going to previously be, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyway, I get escorted up to the main office. I get sat down with the principal. The security guard proceeds to tell my principal and the school cop that Ethan decided to run away and that he was now on the run outside somewhere, and that they were probably gonna have to go look for him. And my principal proceeded to look at me after the security guard said that and was like, "Do you know why Ethan would run, Austin?" And I was like, "I don't know." And the principal goes, "Well, I have a pretty good idea of why Ethan might run. So I heard from the science teacher on the phone that apparently someone thought you were smoking weed on your little field trip to the science museum. Is that true?" And I was like, "I don't know." And my principal goes, "You don't know? You don't know if it was true or not?" And I was like, "I don't know." And my principal's like, "All right, are you okay with being searched?" And I was like, "Please, be my guest." And the cop proceeded to quickly search me, check my backpack, and then they had someone else check my locker. And they found nothing, obviously, because I had nothing. But after that, the school cop had to leave the office to go out and find Ethan while I sat there and spoke to the principal. And my principal, she's just grilling me. She keeps being like, "Are you like lying to me right now? Like, what'd you guys do? Why would Ethan run?" She's just grilling me, and I'm not saying anything. I just keep saying, "I don't know." And obviously the right thing to do in this situation would have been to tell the truth. But me being a freshman and not really thinking too much, and also just, I didn't want to rat Ethan out and get him in trouble. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to tell on him, but I also didn't want to lie to these people. It just sucked. It was a shitty position to be in, right? So I just kept saying, "I don't know," because that felt like the best of both worlds. So I kept saying, "I don't know," and eventually the principal just stopped questioning me because she knew she was getting nowhere. And about 20 minutes later, the school cop comes back into the office with Ethan in handcuffs. And I was like, "Oh shit. Okay. Well, they found Ethan and they cuffed him, and they take the handcuffs off, and he sits down next to me. And the principal goes, "Ethan, I just talked to Austin for like 20 minutes and got nowhere. Please just be honest with me. Do you have weed on you? Did you smoke during your field trip? Just please be honest, please." And Ethan looks over at me, and then he looks over at the principal, and he goes, "Yeah, I smoked, but Austin didn't." This dude really took the whole blame for me, man. And I can't lie, I almost shed a damn tear. I was like, yo, this dude just like covering for me like that, that's crazy, right? Anyway, the principal proceeds to lay out the punishment for Ethan after this. She was like, "All right, well, obviously, I'm not letting this go unchecked. Like, you have to be punished. So I'm going to give you 2 days out of school suspension, a week in school suspension, and on top of that, you are banned from any and all field trips for the rest of the year." Oh, I forgot to mention, the school cop also found his vaporizer, so he was probably screwed regardless. The school cop had that in his hand when he came in. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, he got banned from all field trips for the rest of the year. He got 2 days out of school suspension and then in school suspension for a week. And here's the part of the story where I do something that some people are probably going to think is really dumb. I mean, I had already done some pretty stupid stuff to this point anyway. So I raised my hand and I was like, "Actually, Ethan's lying. I also smoked." And my principal goes, "Really? Why the change of heart, Austin? Why are you talking all of a sudden?" I was like, "'Cause I feel bad. I don't want him to go down alone." And that was true. And I'm not going to lie, I actually snitched on myself because the thought of being suspended sounded more fun than school, which is obviously such a terrible outlook to have. That is so dumb to say, but that was how I felt at the time. I was like, you know what? I would rather get just free vacation and be suspended than to keep going to school for a week. So yeah, I got the exact same punishment. I got 2 days out of school suspension. I got a week in school suspension. I got banned from field trips for the rest of the year. However, that didn't really matter because there was no more field trips the rest of the year anyway. Literally, we didn't go on any more, like my class. And same with my other classes, they didn't either. So that part didn't really bother me. But the part that did suck was they called my mom in. So my mom had to come in and she knew what I did and I got grounded. So that also sucked. So yeah, I got a week off of school essentially, but I still got a shit ton of trouble at home. So that wasn't very fun. But the story time doesn't end there. There's actually another funny part to this kind of, ending. So fast forward to after the out of school suspension was over, the 2 days out of school, like that was whatever. I just kind of sat home, did whatever. But then I had the week in school suspension, which if you don't have that at your school, I'm sure most of you do, but if you don't, in school suspension is just you're suspended from going to your classes, but you sit in a room all day in school with like one teacher and just like do schoolwork. It's essentially study hall for the whole day. You just like sit in one room with either a security guard or a teacher and either do classwork or do nothing. And at my school, they put all the kids that had ISS in school suspension, they put all the kids in the same room. So I actually got to sit next to Ethan during this week of in-school suspension. And 3 days into the suspension, the teacher had to go to the bathroom, so she left us unattended. And me and Ethan snuck out of the room, and we went to the cafeteria, and we grabbed food during one of the lunch periods, and we ate lunch, and then came back, and the teacher obviously realized that we were gone by that point, because we came back, and she was there. And she was like, "What were you guys doing? Where'd you go for all that time? Like, what the heck?" And we were like, "Nothing, we just got lunch." And she was like, "You can't just do that." And she ended up telling our principal, and we got another week of in-school suspension over that. So that wasn't very fun. So yeah, all in all, moral of the story is freshman Luna was an idiot, and don't be like freshman Luna. And that's that. That's the end of the story. Don't be like freshman Luna. Don't do any of the things I talked about in this story time. That's it. But yeah, crazy little story time for you guys. Thought you would enjoy it. If you guys did enjoy this story time, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Take his 401k and I'll put it on my wrist. Only why I sell my fit.